that we have to pay for that unemployment insurance benefit, but we don't have to pay for tax cuts for people who make over $1 million a year. What are we doing? Where are our values? You know, we're going to all go back at some point soon, not so soon, to have Christmas holidays with our families. We've got jobs. We've got jobs. And it's a great job. And our job is, as I see it, is to improve the life of Americans. And we know what has created jobs. And this is, what we see today is just an economic philosophy that was tried during the Bush administration and created 1 million jobs, as opposed to an economic philosophy that created 22.7 million jobs during the Clinton administration. We want people working. I don't know what we're doing here. Thank you.
We've had 10 years of experience with the Bush tax cuts. And today we have seen the worst job creation performance in the last 10 years in the post-war era. We've seen middle income stagnate, barely grow, and in some cases decline. So as a matter of policy, as a matter of doing what the American people want us to do, create a growing economy that produces jobs for all our citizens, these tax policies have not worked. We've got the evidence. It's all around us, unfortunately. But there is a need at this point to continue to give relief to middle-income families, to give them some relief as they struggle through this very difficult market. And in those terms, extending the middle-income tax cuts makes sense economically, and it makes sense governmentally. But it no sense to extend the income tax cuts to the very wealthiest Americans in terms of producing jobs, growing the economy, growing the middle class. And then if you turn around to the unemployment compensation issue, that too is a necessity at this point because of the policies of the Bush administration. 2 unfunded wars, tax cuts, deep tax cuts for the wealthy. We see people desperately looking for work. Al Franken's story can be replicated in every city in this nation. People who worked their whole lives, people who reach middle age. Not only do they not have a job, but they're coming to the terrible realization that they may never get back to where they were. And that is not just a financial blow. That's a huge blow to their sense of self, their sense of family, their sense of what this country is all about. And here, the Republicans say, not only aren't we going to approve a middle-income tax cut, unless you cut taxes for the very wealthy, we're going to force you to pay for unemployment compensation benefits. We've never done that before under Republican administrations, Democratic administrations. We've always maintained these benefits as long as the unemployment rate is at least 7.2, 7.4%. Today it's close to 10%. And how do they want to pay for it? Well, again, it gets back to the hard choices they're prepared to make. Unobligated funds. Well, is that the border fence between Texas and Mexico? Is that the border patrol stations? Is that, oh no, I'm sure that they'd be the first to say, not that. We have to make some difficult choices. The obvious choice today was to support middle-income Americans, extend benefits to them, help them with hiring through some of the other provisions. That choice was clearly rejected by the Republicans, and it's unfortunate.
Tuesday night at midnight, 85,000 Ohioans, more than 2 million Americans saw their unemployment benefits end. Think what that is to a mother who sits down with her teenage daughter and says, we're going to lose our home, we're going to have to move, we don't know what school district we're going to have to move into. Think of what it means more. I go to food pantries in Columbus and Akron last week. Every food pantry I visited in Ohio in the last year, virtually every food pantry, people tell me that people that used to give food to this food pantry are now coming in to get food from this food pantry. Yet, because of Republican opposition. 85,000 Ohioans, more than 2 million Americans saw their unemployment benefits end. Today, all week, we've tried to do something about that. I've stood on the floor. Republicans have objected. My colleagues have gone to the floor. Jack Reed's led the effort on this time after time to just to maintain these unemployment insurance benefits. It's not a welfare program. It's an insurance plan. And people pay in, and if they lose their jobs, they collect. It's like health insurance, and it's like fire insurance. You want to have it if you need it. You don't ever want to use it, but it's there when you need it. This is an example today. When people criticize Congress, it's often that we don't listen enough. This is an example today of we did what the American public wants. The American public thinks we should extend tax cuts to the broad middle class, but we should let them expire for millionaires and billionaires. Yet Republicans again chose to side with millionaires and billionaires against unemployed workers, against low-income workers through the Earned Income Tax Credit and every other kinds of tax benefit that we wanted to give here. 10 years ago, in 2001, 2003, there was the hallmark of the Bush economic plan was to do major tax cuts for the wealthiest people in this country in 2001 and 2003. We've had a 10-year experiment that ends on December 31st, 2010. That experiment clearly hasn't worked. During the 8 years of George Bush, there was a net increase of 1 million private sector jobs in this country, contrasted with during the 8 years of Bill Clinton, 22 million job increase in this country. The whole idea of tax cuts for the rich and trickle-down economics, the whole theory simply doesn't work for Americans. In essence, what the Republicans want to do is they hold unemployment extension hostage, as they hold tax cuts for the middle class hostage. In essence, what the Republicans want to do is borrow $700 billion from China, put it in our children and our grandchildren's credit cards, and then hand that $700 billion to millionaires and billionaires. It's bad for our country. It's bad economic policy. It's bad for our future.